Hi guys, hope you're all well this evening. I have come with an excerpt of my new story, Saving Grace, because I promised you that once I had 50 followers on my YouTube channel, I would prepare and read you the excerpt. And I wish to be thought of as a woman of my word. So anyway, I have prepared the excerpt. I have to say this is quite a difficult one to do an excerpt from because the story is so complex that it's difficult to take a chunk and read it in a way that'll make sense. So I had to take some liberties when I was cobbling together this excerpt. And I would like to request you at this opportunity, before Instagram cuts me off at 1 minute, to please sign up for my YouTube channel, because all of my videos will be there at full length, and Instagram at the moment is cutting them off after 1 minute, which, as you can understand, when one puts quite some effort into it, it is really frustrating to have it cut off after a minute. So thank you to each and every one of you who've signed up for the YouTube channel already, and I hope some of you will do so after this. And a little bit of an intro into the story. I did a reel before this explaining why the writing of Saving Grace was actually a very unusual experience for me. And that was because the source of the story was an unusual one. But then also when I was writing the story, my writing process was more than a little bit strange. So if you want to know about that, then please go to the reel previous to this, which is only on the YouTube channel. Instagram having done its mad hatchet job. For this excerpt, I want to read you, for this reel, I want to read you a small excerpt from the story. So a little bit of background. There are three protagonists here. Benny is a youngish man in his 30s who's from the Philippines, and the excerpt that I will read you is from his point of view. Half of the story is also written from the point of view of another protagonist, who is one of the two young women who work at the luxury hotel in the Middle East, where Benny is the manager. He's their manager, and they are cleaners. Amanti and Grace, the Grace from the title of Saving Grace. So Benny sees himself a certain way, and that is the voice that you will hear in this excerpt. Amanti and Grace see Benny somewhat differently, and if I ever do an excerpt of the second part, then you will understand why. So for now, I'm going with this. The setting, as I said, is a very, very luxurious hotel somewhere in the Middle East. It's a fictional country. It was so much worse than I had expected. And I'm used to expecting the worst, because as the unlucky bastard in charge of housekeeping at the 5-star Regency Hotel, I invariably have to mop up the messes made by my incompetent subordinates. But a little background. I was desperately lonely when I first arrived in Al Nurain. There weren't many Filipinos here at that time. It was a Middle Eastern backwater. None of us knew then that it would one day rival Dubai, with its gleaming skyscrapers and the hordes of complacent European tourists frolicking on its beaches. The city-state has benefited enormously from the energy and foresight of young Sheikh Ahmed. He realized, after the suspiciously early death of his father brought him to power, quite unexpectedly, that a nation without oil would need to find other ways of keeping up with its wealthy neighbors. I myself came to Al Nurain as a kitchen boy, clawing my way up to housekeeping, and eventually to a managerial position. I had nothing but work to keep me occupied anyway. I needed to be distracted from my unwholesome thoughts. I did not want to be reminded of why I had left the Philippines. Some things are better left in the past, especially our worst failures. Years later, when Grace joined the cleaning staff here, I felt an immediate connection with her. She reminded me of my sister, Alice. She had the same sweetness of disposition, coupled with a compassion that had not left her, despite being the unwanted 9th child in a very large family. But her friend Amanti, the Sri Lankan, she was a different kettle of fish. There was something about that woman, something I had disliked from the very beginning. She had an insolence, a swagger about her. Even then, when she was just a supplicant begging for a job that she desperately needed. And she was dark as sin, so much so that her teeth and the whites of her eyes shone rudely against that bitter chocolate skin of hers. Amanti's darkness was like the mark of Cain. It gave away what lay beneath that smooth surface. Yet I was the only one who seemed to see it, just as I had with Jamie Arroyo all those years ago when he began wooing my mother. Okay guys, thank you. That's it for today. I hope you'll sign up for the YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy this story when you get to read it. Bookworm and I are trying to get the book in from Singapore, which is where the Best Asian Short Stories 2020 was published. And as soon as we have any progress on that front, I will be sure to let you know. Have a great evening.